Let's get into it. Busy. I'm waking up early in the morning, get my hustle on. If you go to war with me, I hope your money long. Told him I ain't here for the games or you sing along. If there's money out here and I can't eat, then we can get along. Let's get into it. Get along. Yeah, I'm hot, boy.
What's good, y'all? What's good, y'all? Good morning, and all that good stuff. It's your boy DJ Duya. Flying solo today. Actually, let me just change my name, man. Shout out to my guy, Busy Van Pelt. That's usually on the show, my co-host, creator of this show. He couldn't make it this morning, but I wanted to, get up here and talk my ish with some of y'all. I've been seeing a lot of stuff in regards to these NBA All-Star games. So a lot of people really tight at the All-Star game and what the players gave out. So I wanted to give my take on it. And we got a lot of things that I wanted to chop it up with. I'm going to give my NBA predictions, pretty much how I feel like the rest of the season is going to play out. Now that LeBron James is the all-time leading scorer and, tops in the NBA. Also, I'll get into the quarterback carousel that's in the NFL. And so, yeah, let's get right into it, man. So, and if anyone is watching out there, you want to tap in, just look in the comments. If you click that link, then you could just jump right into the show, and I'll bring you right in. You can you can chime in on the topics. Like I said, we're going to give an All-Star game recap, and then I'm talking about the changes I feel like needs to be made for the All-Star game. MCCLUNG winning the dunk contest, and then, like I said earlier, the predictions for the rest of the season. So on Sunday, they had the 72nd NBA All-Star game. Whew, was it trash? Like, man, it was bad. I really feel like it was the reason that the All-Star game was so bad is that we lost probably the four superstars. There's only four superstars in the NBA. LeBron James, Steph Curry, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Kevin Durant. Now, Giannis and LeBron were obviously the captains of the two teams, but Steph Curry was injured and Kevin Durant was injured as he's making his way to Phoenix. So I felt like, Giannis had an injury with his hand, so he started, made his picks for the All-Star game and all that. But as soon as the game started, he made a layup or dunk, I think it was, and then he got out of there. So that's losing one superstar, the all-time leading scorer. He injured his hand trying to make a block attempt on a player, and so he was out of there, and he didn't return in the second half. He gave out 13 points. So without having those four superstars in the game, I felt like the game was awful, man. It just didn't work. The guys that were in there, we had a lot of first timers, a lot of second timers. So it made the game, these guys don't know, they've never been there before. So it was really up to the guys like Dame Lillard and who's some other guys that were there for, have been multiple All-Stars, at least more than 3 times. Off the top of my head, it's not coming to me. I think it's not coming to me right now off the top of my head. I would really have to look it up, and I don't want to mess up the flow of the show right now. But it was really up to those guys. Dame Lillard did a great job All-Star Saturday night. But like I said, the game was horrible, man. There was absolutely no defense. There was even Mike Malone, the coach, said, man, that was a pitiful basketball game at the end. So I feel like the picking of the teams, I saw a couple people online that wasn't really feeling it. They didn't like what was given out with that part of it, but I thought it was dope. I felt like I was at the park where they was picking guys, to match up, and I thought it was a dope addition to the All-Star. Now, I didn't. I was sitting back and I was actually going through who I felt was going to be the first pick or the next pick or the last pick. So I thought it was dope. Now, I think that to change the All-Star game, I just think that it has to be an incentive to listen, man. If you're going to play in this game, you got to go hard. And in baseball, they do something where the All-Star game winner gets home field. I don't think that should be done in the NBA because it takes away from the regular season. But it should be something that they should do to make the game a little more intense. So I think that one thing I think that they should do is make sure that they have really the replacements have to be somebody that people want to see. I feel like they just threw kind of anybody in there, and an All-Star game is all stars. No, I'm not saying that these guys aren't great players, but Trae Young, who else is Jalen Brunson, some guys that can do some things with the ball. Kyrie Irving was not playing out there. He was going in. He came to play. So we need more people like that. We need people that are going to give us a show. I'm just saying on the replacement end, just to pick a guy that, is going to go there and a defensive standout, that's really not what we want to see. Now, I love Bam Adebayo. He's one of my guys for the Miami Heat, but that's not what we want to see, man. We want to see these guys. We want to see somebody put the ball through somebody's legs. We want to see some competitive nature out there. So I think that was where they went wrong this year, is with the replacements. And the coaches also, I feel like the coaches are the guys that pick the reserves. So they went with guys that they felt were solid. But I think they made a mistake as well with some of the guys that they picked up. So the fans did a great job. Those are who the fans want to see. So I'm with that. But that's my opinion of how they can fix it. They just have to make sure that they get players in there that people want to see. The fact that Trae Young wasn't there, LaMelo Ball wasn't there. These are the guys that we want to see. We want to see these guys on the court. They put on a show. So next year, man, NBA, Adam Silver, please take heed to what I'm saying. You probably won't hear this shit, but just understand put in the guys that are all stars. And I'm not saying that these guys aren't great players, once again, but put in the guys that are offensive standouts that we want to see in the game. So I'll kind of move on from that topic. The All-Star Saturday night, I thought it was a good night. Going into it, I felt like the media kind of already painted the picture that it was going to be trash, and they kind of continued with that narrative. If you listen to the Kenny Smith broadcast with Shaq and Charles, Kenny Smith, he was really downplaying every dunk. Like, oh man, that dunk wasn't all that. I seen Vince Carter. So it's from the start, it was like it was trash. But I thought Matt McClung gave a hell of a show. If you're a basketball fan, you've known about Matt McClung for a few years, since he's been in high school and been dunking. So I'm going into it, I kind of picked him as the guy that was going to win it. I figured he was going to take the championship home, just because if you're a basketball fan, you know what he could do on, from YouTube. and then he didn't miss a dunk. So he gave you one take, and that was it. And he, so I think only one person didn't give him a 50. I can't remember exactly who it was, but he stole the show, man. But I saw a lot of people saying, man, come on. These boys lost to a G League dunker, a 6'2" white G League dunker. How, Sway? How? So that, I don't know, man. It's a tough thing. And I keep seeing that people are saying, we want the we want the dunk contest out of there. They got to change Saturday night. Saturday night, since I've been a kid, man, Saturday night was always the thing. They've even turned it into Friday night with the celebrity game, and I was working, so I didn't even tune into the celebrity game like that, so I missed that, and it's not something that I want to go back and watch or nothing. If it's on TV, then I'll check it out, and I'm not doing nothing, I'll check it out, but I'm not gonna go back and watch and look for what happened in the celebrity game. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. So like I said, Saturday night was good, man. But they made it seem like it was gonna be trash. So, what else is going on in the NBA? So I wanted to also get into my predictions for this upcoming 23 games. There's 23 games left in the season. You got the Los Angeles Lakers, who made hella trades and amendments to their roster. They traded Russell Westbrook to the Jazz, and in tune he's been bought out, and he's going to be joining the Clippers. They brought in Rui Hachimura. Who else did they bring in? They brought in D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and then another player from the Timberwolves. What's his name? Vanderbilt. So that's they've definitely reshaped their roster, and they should really make a push. It's really going to be on the shoulders of Anthony Davis. There's been reports that Anthony Davis and LeBron had a falling out, and we could see from his reaction when LeBron broke the record, like he was not happy for him. He wasn't worried about it. He didn't care. And I think the whole team as a whole, from the guys that they got rid of, Pat Beverly, Thomas Bryant, and Russell Westbrook, they wasn't for this LeBron praise all season. They were sick of it. You could tell in the body language. They were sick of this LeBron. I don't want to say praise, but yeah, it's been LeBron showering of love all season. So they're like, we're in 13th place, man. And you were walking around with this Kool-Aid smile, crying on court and stuff. Man, we need to win. After he broke the record, Thomas Bryant said, yeah, good job, boy, but let's go win this game, man. Let's go win this game. And they lost. So I think that the Lakers, if Darvin Ham, he's a first-year coach, so that I think if they had a veteran coach, if they should have gotten Ty Lue from the beginning, but if they had a veteran presence as a coach, I think they would have a better chance. But I expect them to make the play-in, but the play-in, when you make the play-in, it's dicey for you to even get in the top 8. So, but I expect them to get in the play-in. Let's take a look at standings at the moment, and we'll see where I expect these teams to land. So we're going to stick with the Western Conference. Right now, Denver is 5 games ahead of the Grizzlies for first place. So we got the Nuggets, we got the Grizzlies, we got the Kings, the Clippers, the Suns, Mavericks are right now, if the playoffs were to start, those would be the 6 teams that would be in. The Pelicans, the Timberwolves, the Warriors, and the Thunder at the moment would be the teams that would make the play-in. So the Kings have been the big surprise of the season. I can't even lie to you. I kind of expected them to end the drought this year of making the playoffs, but I didn't think they would be a top 3 seed in the West going into All-Star break. You know what I mean? So that's where they're sitting right now. Their record is 32-25. I'm gonna keep it real. I expect the Suns to leapfrog over them as long as they're healthy, and I expect the Suns to creep into that top 3 seed. So if they don't, their Suns right now are 9.5 games behind the Nuggets. I don't expect them to catch the Nuggets with only 23 games left. That's pretty much impossible. Not impossible, but it's improbable. They are only a half game behind the Clippers, and they're a game and a half behind the Kings. So I expect them to leapfrog the Clippers and the Kings and get into that 3rd seed. I like the addition of Kyrie Irving over there with Dallas. That was the first team that was a team that I was saying, man, they can do something with Kyrie Irving. He's a much better player than Jalen Brunson, and they got it to the Western Conference Championship with Jalen Brunson. Now, don't get me wrong, matchups really are what dictate who's going to advance in the playoffs. So depending on what team they match up against, we'll see. Because if they were to, let's say, the Mavericks were to get the Warriors in the first round, they might get out of there, man. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to play Golden State in the first round. So they're the scary unit. Once Steph Curry comes back, I expect the Warriors to get out of the play-in situation. And even if they do make it in, even if they do have the play-in, I said earlier in the show, weeks ago, that I think that the Warriors could make a title run from the play-in tournament. That's what I think they're going to be able to do. But it all depends on Steph Curry. If Steph Curry doesn't come back healthy, they're not going anywhere. It doesn't even matter. So they need their superstar. Anthony Edwards, he started off slow, so he's been playing excellent. Made the All-Star team as a replacement. Yeah, and that was a good replacement. He came to play. He's one of those guys that doesn't feel like he should be not playing with all this load management and all this stuff. He's not one of those guys. He kind of shot it down at the All-Star game. Now, the Pelicans are also a interesting team because they haven't had their main guys. Zion Williamson has been out, as well as Brandon Ingram, and they still are maintaining, the 500 record and still in the playoff hunt. So if they could get Zion back and Ingram, I expect them to be in the top 6. And I would say that I'm telling you, man, I expect the Kings to fall. I know they've been doing it all season. We're a quarter of the season. There's only about a quarter of the season left. I expect them to fall, man. So I can see the teams that I would say out of the play-in right now that would advance. I could see the Timberwolves. No, I could see the Pelicans beating the Timberwolves. That's like a brewing rivalry right there if they were to play. And then, of course, the Warriors would get the Thunder out of there. The Nuggets don't want to see the Warriors in the first round. They don't. Warriors would take them 7 games and get them out of there. First round. Nikola Jokic could win all the MVPs he wants. He's still going to get that. He's still going to get out of there. So they don't want to see the Warriors. The Grizzlies and the Timberwolves or the Pelicans could get them out of there as well if they have a healthy squad. A healthy Pelican squad, I would take the Pelicans over the Grizzlies, and I like the Grizzlies a lot. I think it'll go 7 games as well, and I think this is going to be one of the best playoff seasons that we've ever had. I expect all the first round games to go 6 or 7 games so they can get all the money out of us. The TV money, it's The All-Star game was kind of a flop as far as the ratings, and the overall season hasn't been pretty much watched, or it's only been a lot of traction due to the trades and LeBron breaking the record. That's been the talk of most of the season. It hasn't been too much talk of the actual play. So back to this, like I said, I expect the Suns to move into 3, but let's just go with what it is right now. So if the Kings played the Mavericks, no. Mavericks will get them out of there. And then if the Suns play the Clippers, I expect the Suns to get them out of there, but that's going to be a grueling 7-game series. All these series are going to go 6-7 games, I expect. But like I said, I think that the Suns and the Kings will kind of flip, and I think we'll see the Clippers and Mavericks play each other. We'll see the Suns play the Kings, and we'll get the Nuggets versus the Warriors. Let's say the Warriors don't make it out to play in, because they're right now, how many games to get out to play in? If they can get Steph Curry back, I expect them to. I don't know, man. I don't know if they'll make it out of the play in. I want to say it that they would, but I don't know. But I think they'll make it out of. Let me say that if they make the play, if they get in the play in, I expect them to win their game and move on to the actual playoffs. So they would play the Nuggets. No, they wouldn't. They play the Grizzlies. They want to give us the Warriors and the Grizzlies. That would be a great matchup. And then they give us the Nuggets and Pelicans. Those two teams would be a great matchup. I'd like to see that. So I'd like to see the Nuggets and the Pelicans. I'd like to see the Warriors and the Grizzlies. The Mavericks and the Suns. Mavericks and the Clippers, excuse me. And then that would give us the Suns and the Kings. Yeah, so that's the East. That's what's going on in the West. As I jump over to the East, the Boston Celtics got the best record in the league, but they're only a half game above the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, here's the thing, man. Milwaukee Bucks, they've been fighting a lot of injuries this year. And I think if there were no injuries, they would be the clear above everyone. Giannis had his hand injury. Chris Middleton hasn't, for some reason, been able to get back into form. He's usually an all-star, and I'm not totally sure about how many games he's played. I gotta look it up, but he definitely is not the same Middleton of the championship year. So I expect these guys. I'm gonna give you where I expect them to land. I think that at the moment they're gonna probably stay at the 2. I expect the Celtics to remain 1 for the rest of the season, and the 76ers should actually stay at 3. 76ers or Cleveland Cavaliers could flip-flop. So we could see the 76ers fall to 4 and Cleveland move up to 3. But in my heart, I think that 76ers will remain at 3. Cleveland will go to 4. And then we have the Nets at 5. I really don't expect the Nets to stay at 5. I expect them to become a play-in team. I see the New York Knicks matching up. I can't even. I know you Knicks fans are going to hate me out there. I know you Knicks guys are going to hate me, man. I know it. But I don't see the Knicks staying there. I see my guys, the Miami Heat, leapfrogging the Knicks into that 6th seed, possibly the 5th. Yeah, we're going to leapfrog the Knicks and the Nets and get into that 5th seed and match up versus the Cavs. I would like as a Miami Heat fan, I'd like for the Heat to face the Knicks. I always loved the Heat-Knicks rivalry. We can rehash that. Two tough as nails teams, 2 great coaches or 2 good coaches. I think Spo's one of the best, top 5 in the league, and then Spo's it's the Knicks coach Thibodeau. He's one of the best coaches out there too. I feel like he runs his players down a little bit, but he's getting the best out of what the roster of the Knicks is. They don't necessarily have the most talented roster, and he's getting the best out of it, I feel. So then you got right now, as of yesterday, Nate McMillan was fired for the Hawks, and if we would have been on, like I've been off because my co-host has been busy, no pun intended, but we couldn't do the show for a little bit because of conflicting schedules. So, but right now, I would have told y'all that Nate McMillan was going to get fired days ago. It was going to be either Trae Young or Nate, and it's easier to get rid of the coach than a star player. But in the offseason, I expect Trae Young to be traded to the Raptors and for Fred VanVleet and probably OG Anunoby. Remember, I said this, people. I'm telling you, I expect Trae Young to be traded in the offseason for Fred VanVleet and OG Anunoby. Just remember that. So, like I said, they are the 8th seed right now. I expect the Nets to fall to 7 or 8. So they would play each other in the play-in. The Hawks are 13 games out of first place. They are 3 games out of the 6th seed. They're just not a better team than the Miami Heat. Let me just talk about the Heat for a second. This is the team that I know the most about because I follow them. That's my favorite team. They added Kevin Love from the buyout situation, and then they also added Cody Zeller. So that gives them some size pause in the low post because they were lacking size with the pause with Omer Yurtseven being out for most of the season. He was big for the Heat last year. He's like a rebounding machine. And he's a big guy that can step out and hit the three-pointer. So that's what they're really getting with Kevin Love. So I can see the Heat matching up against the Cavaliers and Kevin Love busting their tail and saying, yo, I wasn't good enough for your lineup. Well, watch this. Split that. Give me that board. Pass it out. Jimmy Butler is playoff Jimmy. He's got to be top 10 in the league, maybe top 6. Playoff Jimmy is rough. So playoff Jimmy will come out. Only thing is Kyle Lowry. I don't know what the situation with Kyle Lowry is. I ain't gonna lie to you. I expect a buyout next year. If they can't finagle a trade for Kyle Lowry, he'll get bought out of his contract in the next season, in the middle of this or sometime in the next season. Miami will get him out of there. They'll buy out the last year of his contract. I think he's getting $37 million, something like that. So they'll probably cut that in half, $18 million. Something like that in that range. And he'll be able to sign with any team he wants, similar to what Russell Westbrook and Kevin Love did. But unless he makes a great push and a great run these playoffs. And right now we got number 9 is the Wizards and the Raptors. Those teams, the Raptors have a great coach. I'm going to call him Quinn Snyder. No. What's his name? Nick Nurse is the coach of the Raptors. And to be honest with you, they've had a lot of guys in and out of the lineup, and they don't have a real bona fide go-to guy. Pascal Siakam, he's a great player. He's a good player. But, he gives you the same thing that Bam Adebayo gives you without the same cast around him. So imagine Bam Adebayo on the Raptors by itself, really. It would be the same type of deal. So right now, the Raptors are 2 games ahead of the Bulls, who are the biggest disappointment of the league this year. Let's just keep it 100. Like, those boys, man. I expected the Bulls to do something this year. But we got the word yesterday that Lonzo Ball will not be returning this season. And I'm a big Lonzo supporter. I'm a big LaMelo supporter. So it's tough, man. It's tough. I could see the Pacers leapfrogging them, but I don't see the Bulls making the playoffs this year. It's probably not going to happen. But I expect the Wizards and the Raptors to get in there. So if we just go by the standings right now, let's start at 9 and 10. The 9 and 10 matchup. The Wizards have a much more talented team than the Raptors, right? We got Bradley Beal, you got Porzingis, you got Kuzma, and a lot of other guys. That's kind of their big three. And I would say the big three of the Raptors is Siakam, Fred VanVleet, and OG Anunoby. Just off the experience, I know those guys won a championship, so, but just off the star power, I'm gonna go with the Raptors, man. In a one-game situation, I take the Raptors. 7-8, of course. The Heat. We don't even know who the coach is gonna be. I'm sure they have an interim coach that I don't know the name of at the moment. I'll look it up and I'll post it later, but we'll find out who the interim coach is. But I don't expect the Heat. Excuse me. Wow. I expect the Heat to defeat them. So they would match up against the Bucks, which would be a great matchup. We saw the Heat beat the Bucks a few years ago in the bubble, and then we also seen the Bucks come back the next year that they won the championship and sweep the Heat. So they've had a kind of budding rivalry with Miami, and that would be a great matchup. 76ers and the Knicks. Like I said, I don't expect the Knicks to stay at 6, but just for the moment, just for the show right now, we're going to say that they stay in that slot. Sixers will. The Knicks will surprise us because the Sixers underachieve so much that it would be a good series. It would probably go 6 games with the Sixers coming out on top. And then the other matchup, we got the Cavaliers and the Nets. And like I said, the Nets, I don't expect them to stay where they're at. But for right now, I would take the Cavaliers. Definitely. So we would have the Celtics moving on. We'd have I didn't pick a Bucks Heat, but y'all gonna hate me for this. If the Miami Heat play the Bucks and the Bucks don't get healthy, Miami will get them out of there. And that would be big to get them out of there in the first round of the playoffs. I'm not saying that it would be a grueling 7-game series or something like that, 6-7 games, and then they would get them out of there. So we'd have Celtics, we'd have the Miami Heat, we'd have the Sixers, and then I would say the Cavs. So that's one of my predictions going into it right now. I also wanted to talk about NFL. There's been a lot of talk about these quarterbacks in the NFL, man. So we have Derek Carr from the Las Vegas Raiders. He's released, and he's been making his rounds around the NFL. He made a stop at the Jets. And his brother, who was the former number 1 pick for the Texans back in the day, I think I want to say 2001 maybe, he said that Derek didn't like the offer, and he's still weighing his options because he's looking for at least $40 million as the QB. But then I saw something on the Bleacher Report yesterday that the Jets feel like he could take them over the top to the Super Bowl. Now, I was talking behind the scenes with my boy Lou, and he was saying, man, the Jets just got to go out and get Aaron Rodgers. 2 years of Aaron Rodgers could make them a contender. And it's just Aaron Rodgers is so fluky. So I just see a whole situation, it being Brett Favre all over again. Brett Favre all over again with Aaron Rodgers. So I don't know if we should go Aaron Rodgers. I think that they should go Carr, man, and just continue building the team around him. He's a solid quarterback. That's not going to be too diva-ish. He's going to come in there. I mean, he's going to be the guy. He's put up great numbers over the years. He's never had a good defense. In the last 5 years, the Raiders' defense has been 32nd in the league. So if you give him a good defense, I think he can make something happen, man. So I think the Jets are going to end up going with Carr. They're not going to give up all the draft capital necessary to get Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson, and it's looking like Lamar Jackson. And I think that Lamar Jackson is going to stay with Baltimore. They're going to franchise tag him. It's not like Lamar Jackson's not going to play for 50-something million. So he's going to play, and he's just going to be a Baltimore Raven for another season. And then they'll probably come up with some type of long-term deal next season after they kind of see the market based off of what Joe Burrow gets. Then Lamar Jackson will probably get the same amount of bread as Burrow. Who was another quarterback? Jalen Hurts. He still got a little bit of time. So another quarterback. We got Jimmy Garoppolo, who's a bargain. He's like if I'm showing my age here though. If you used to go to Filene's basement or Marshall's, and that's the good stuff on the rack, but it's for the low. So you find a shirt on the rack, you're like, oh snap, I like this shirt, man. This is all right. I'll take this. That's what Jimmy Garoppolo is. So he could go to a team that just needs that stopgap quarterback, when they could really draft somebody and be the understudy. Jimmy G has proved he's a super professional. The way the 49ers did him last year was really wrong, really. Like, first they didn't want him, then they wanted him, then they didn't want him, and it's Trey, and it's this and that. And so wherever he goes, he's going to handle himself like a professional. So I expect him probably be like a $20 million, get $20 million in the open market. I could see him either going to Indianapolis. I know they're sick of these quarterbacks, but they're going to draft a quarterback, and then they'll pick up Jimmy Garoppolo as kind of insurance. Like back when Fitzpatrick was like the stopgap. You draft a quarterback, then you bring in Fitzpatrick for 2 years or a year and a half, and then the quarterback gets ready. Expect that with this guy. So I'm about to get out of here, man. I got some things I got to run and do, but thanks for y'all that was tapping in with me today. I'm going to try to be back tomorrow. The NBA is off right now. I think they return on Thursday or Friday. So if I can come up with some good topics, some good stuff for tomorrow, I'll definitely come on and give my takes on what's going on in sports. It's your boy DJ Duya. I call this Up for Debate. And shout out to my guy, Busy Van Pelt, aka James Jones, man. Co-creator, co-host, and all of that of the show. So like I said, thanks for y'all that's tapping in, and we out.
Let's get into it. I'm waking up early in the morning, get my hustle on. If you go to war with me, I hope your money long. Told them I ain't here for the games or your sing along. If there's money out here and I can't eat, then we can't get along.